Hello YouTube. Today, after hard work at Smart Choice Garage, Smart Choice Repairs comes home with hopefully setup ready for first video on repairs. We had a laptop from a customer emailed to us and we needed to work. Before I was doing just like a hobby, now I want to open a YouTube channel and to share my knowledge with you. Before I had set up in the garage, now it's I bring it home in my little girl's playroom. I set up a corner desk. I will go with you through the setup and ready for action. What was happening? The computer doesn't start, power supply dead. We have something to work on today, and yeah, let me show you first quickly the setup, what I have, and after that we will try to fix the power supply and we can go to the normal and the proper videos, not from the phone. On this corner is the Mechanic A210 Max 2 iron station. After that we have another one, old style Aten soldering station. My power supply, this is for 10 amps, 30 volts 10 amps, and it's short circuit protection I deactivated and is working straight. You can inject voltage with it and it will work perfectly fine. After that, the soldering iron, some soldering wires. After that we have the multimeter, which is an O1 XDM 2041. We have the air hot station, it's an Aten ST862D, which I'm using. I can recommend, it's really good. And my old Weller soldering station, the same. We have a microscope, digital microscope from Eliclive, or how it will be pronounced, I don't know exactly. We have the camera, which will be for the bench top view. We have the small face camera, and it will come another one camera which will be positioned forward and to see all the devices and everything. Is the corner desk. Here I have an extension, corner extension, which is making the table a bit bigger when I have a bigger devices to work on. And like that is looking the setup. Underneath I still have a linear power supply, 30 volts with 5 amps, and the soldering station. And after that is the Wi-Fi router and the computer which doesn't want to start. This it will be the power supply which we will work on, CS750M Corsair. And let's open and let's see what we can find inside. Why it doesn't want to start. And my wife, just when we was doing the table view, just bring me a cup of tea. Okay, let's start removing the screws. And we have the power supply open now, and let's see how we will be able to remove the looms. It's a semi-modular power supply and we need to remove the long cable, the 24-pin cable. Okay, I see we have access to all 4 screws, but we will need to remove even the small board for the plugs, for the sockets on the side. And we will need to look onto the, oh, we have one capacitor which is moving really easy. Maybe this will be our problem. I will find out in a minute. Let's try to remove the board and let's have a look inside to see what we find. We have 4 screws, looks like, in the corners of the board. We try to remove them all. And yeah, let's see what let's remove the fan. I see we have access to the plug. Usually they are soldered directly on the board, but on this case it has a plug, which is amazing. You can really easily remove the top. Okay, we need to remove 4 screws on the side. This top screw is on the, it was coming out with a razor, with the spacer. We will try to sort it out that after, to keep with a plier on the back. Okay. When you are working on this type of power supplies, be very careful with the big capacitors. 2 of them, they are really powerful. They will have a voltage of 400 volts and they can still store the power for half an hour. Then make sure you are not touching the board. You can just touch on the sides, don't touch on the pins underneath the board. That can become very dangerous. Let's take a plier. I'm trying to remove that spacer because it's staying on the way. I couldn't remove the board because of the spacer. It was coming off from the small PCB. Let's put this back in place. There are 4 of them, and this one, it was coming off. I'm trying to put back to don't lose it. Okay. And now the board, it's out. I will leave it like this to have still the availability to plug in for the power, to don't stay to solder on the board anything. Usually we need to look carefully on the white or transparent, sometimes the power supplies they have on the bottom, the plastic shield, and if you see any burn marks or something is the first indication where the problem should be. And how we took the board out, in this corner it will be underneath the plug, and we look, it is a bit smoky on this corner, which is under the main input, and we have a bit on the controller area. Yes, let's first check to see if we still have power. Let me turn a bit, I think you will see the screen, and let's measure to see what voltage we have still in the capacitors. Hopefully they are already discharged, but let's make sure. Yes, we have like 1 volt on them. Then looks like they discharged. Okay. Let's put on the continuity mode and on the beep. Yeah, we have a beep. Let's check the main fuse, and we have the power coming in this corner. We should have here the main fuse. And yes, the main fuse is good. After that we should follow the way how the power is going through the, here we have the so hard to explain it, easier to do it. Bridge rectifier, we have 2 of them in parallel. Everything seems to be okay here. I don't see any problem. They are not shorted. Usually if everything is going wrong, usually they go wrong on the input circuit. After that we have the small relay, which is working in 250 volts, is commanded by the 5 volts. On the moment when we press the button, it's commanding and disconnecting the power through the power supply. Let's do you remember, now I realize again, do you remember when we was looking on beginning and we saw this, I saw this capacitor is moving really easy. When I just moved the power supply, I saw it bouncing. And if we look on the back of the board, I don't know if you can see it, I wish to be able to show you. I will try to put under the microscope, but you can clearly see the pin is dry soldered and it's literally moving. When I move the capacitor, you can see, yeah, it's moving up and down. Let's try to quickly solder the capacitor. We go around a bit on the board and we will check if we have any other dry contacts or loose contacts, and we will power on and we will test it. Hopefully we can fix it. This will be amazing if it will be just that the problem. Quick and easy. Of course this customer is a prick, he's never paying enough. is mine. Let's turn on the soldering station. 380 degrees. Let's take some soldering wire. All the setup is just done and everything is on way. I will need to reorganize them a bit before to start, but for the moment it's working fine. And let's solder. We solder that pin back in place. Yeah, now it's not moving anymore. You can see clearly in this side as well, it's like more stable, it's not bouncing. But let's check next to it to see what we have. Let's have a quick visual inspection. Let me move the cup of tea. Staying on our way. Oh yeah, I think I know what I can do now. Let me put on pause for a second. I will try to connect the microscope on the screen of the computer with the HDMI, and I will come back and you can see and we can inspect the board together underneath. Sorry for the noise, my wife is calling my daughter to go for a sleepover. Okay, I'm back. Now you can see on the screen what I can see on the other smaller screen from the microscope. I will show you now. But I was thinking it's too small for you to see it, and I wanted you to see and to check together to find out exactly if it is anything else wrong or we have any crack solders joints. Let's have a quick look. Oh, sorry. It is a bit hard to move it because I have all the metal bottom side of the power supply, and it's hard to move it and on the same time to look under the microscope. All of these joints looks like somebody done them before. They looks more shiny than all the other ones, and we can see flux around them. Then might be the power supply I bought it 1 year ago, second hand. I didn't buy a new one, and it was functional. Nothing wrong with it till today. The power supply, when I was plugging in and pressing the button, it was just clicking and didn't start. It wasn't doing absolutely any other thing like short circuit, blow the fuses or something like that. It was just literally didn't start. I don't see nothing wrong, nothing else wrong with it. Let's try to go back to plug in the power and let's see if it will start. The props from the multimeter we was touching. Let's try to put back in the case. We are not screwing back in or nothing like that. We will just clearly just drop it down in the case. Make sure we will not do any short circuits. We will just plug in the fan to have a indication for power, and maybe eventually we can measure some voltages on the plug, 5 volts, 12 volts, to see if everything is okay and we have the voltages. Put you pause and I will move the camera on the other side. Okay, now let's connect the fan. Let's take the fan. Let's move the cables away. Let's plug in the fan connector. Okay, put the fan standing upwards. We take the power cord, let's connect. Yep. We need to have the cables for the multimeter. Let's take a tweezer and we can, on the 24 pin plug, we can short circuit the green wire with the black wire, and that it will power on the power supply. Let's do it together. Yeah, the power supply, we can see the fan started, and let's change on the, let's turn off the soldering station. Looks like we don't need anymore. Voltage DC, we take a ground connection anywhere from any screw and we can measure it, and here we should have the 3.3, I think is the orange one. Yep, and we have, sorry, you can see. Now we have the 3.3 and we have N is present and it's perfect. We should have 5 volts here, the red wire, 5.1, and we should have the yellow one here, should be 12 volts, 1206. Seems like we have all the power for it. Now we need just to remove the switch and the power supply turn off. Let's try to power on again to make sure everything is fine and is working. Yeah, working fine. The fan is not going in full speed. It has a thermal resistor on the board, and that it will keep it dim to be quiet, and on the moment when the power supply is getting hot, on that moment it starts spinning faster. Now all what we need to do is just to mount everything back and to put them all together. I will mount back on the computer, and hopefully on the next video we will see each other with a better setup than now, and see you. If you like it, click like and subscribe. Cheers.